internally was that it began to like, something's just, you know, it was like a shower internally. It was just flying away things. And I don't know how spiritual self, so I'm like, what is going on? And it was a kind of an hour session. And when I woke up, I was like, I looked at everything looked different. And then it was like in a break, so he asked me, hey, how are you? I'm like, empty, because there were no thoughts. I didn't know what had happened. And he was like, empty good, empty bad. I'm like, it's not bad, so I think it's good. Because I couldn't relate to it. There was nothing. So that was a start for me of bars. And then he talked a little bit about bars. Is one thing that bars changes a lot is receiving. So what I was good is doing. I had learned the more I do, the more I can receive. So what Access Bars is about is taking away everything we have decided about how we can receive things in our lives. Feelings, thoughts, money, business, relationship. Because what we do is every point of view we create, how this world is, we learn it since we're that small, how the world functions. So if I learned, like I learned from my father, you have to work hard to get things. And I remember once I was 17, I said, I had this revelation when I was 17. I went to my parents, I'm so excited. I just got this awareness that you can just receive money. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything. And my parents were like, oh. What they saw was me kind of sitting on the street begging. That's what, because they got so upset with me. They got so like, you can't do that, Lisen, you have to get in it. Because then they went, I'm not going to go and get an education. They didn't ask me anything. They just began to tell me every point of view they had what I should do to earn money. And I'm like, oh, and I got really like so confused. You know when you have this total clarity and somebody begins, and I adored my parents and I thought they were right. And you know, you look up to them when I still did it at 17. Because they were having a great business and things like that. So basically that was kind of destroyed, not totally, but destroyed in me that that's possible. And when I started doing Access Bars and Access in general, because they have a lot of tools and techniques to receive things different, I began to become connected to that awareness again. Okay, it's not about putting in 100% and I get 100%. I can do as much as I like. It's not about sitting at home and meditating and everything will come to you and it's shit with UPS and things like that. But what if I were willing to receive much more than I think is possible? So my point of view creates my reality. So basically what happens is if I have a point of view, it's hard. I put on like these, I don't know what they're called in English now, and only see, what?
Shades.
Shades, good, yes. I'm seeing myself like a horse. Like these shades, so everything that could be really easy for me, I don't see. I only see what is okay according to my point of view. It's like when you want to buy a car, and you find the brand and the color, it's what you see all the time. They just pop up everywhere. So my point of view creates my reality. So what happens when a bars is that there are 32 points on the head that we touch very lightly. These 32 points are channeled 25 years ago from the founder of Access Consciousness, Gary Douglas. So he was basically invited to create a change in a massage school, and he didn't work with that at that moment, but he was working with change. And he came there, they had asked him to come there and just observe. And his first reaction, like, do I have to touch bodies? Do I have to undress? Like, he didn't want to do those things. It was so weird for him. But while he was sitting there just asking questions, what can we contribute to this education, he got this information. And then he like, oh, what do I do with it? And then he started touching the points. And it's funny enough, there are 2 points, joy and sadness, in front of here, that are also scientifically proven 2 years later after he got this awareness. And then he's done it since 25 years ago. He started having classes, facilitating classes in so-called Access Bars. At this moment, it's around 50 different countries. There's facilitators. I think I don't know how many thousand facilitators there are educating this or teaching this. And one of the beautiful things is when you touch these points, you activate so your body lets go of things that is in your way. So we build up these limitations of basically to protect what we know, what is comfort, what we have learned. So we have these protection systems, these. Unfortunately, they protect our limitations. So what happened when I got my bars run, I think after 3 bars sessions, people began to call me, because I was in this place that was no fun with money, and I was out there, I was trying to get clients, I was trying to work with companies, I was just like forced and so much like I needed it, and I was even desperate also, because it didn't work. I was living on very little money, and I wasn't getting anything, because I kind of also was embarrassed that it wasn't working. You know when you love doing something and it's not working, kind of almost go to the wrongness. Maybe I'm not looking at the right thing. So I remember after, I think it was around the 3rd bar session, I had 4 calls during 1 week from different companies offering me different projects. Even from a company I've decided I never wanted to work again. It was an auction house, and they had done some illegal stuff and selling things that were not legal, like kind of copies, and I said to them, I'm not willing to work here. They have to change that, and they weren't willing to change that, so I left. So I didn't want to work with them. And they called me, because they, of course, he was kicked out, the one that was doing that after a while, so they put in a new person. So they called me up and asked me if I wanted to do a charity auction. I'm like, really? So during this week, I had 4 companies calling me for projects the next following 4 months and asking me to be part of it. And I was like, oh my God, I have not even called them, contacted, or even, they didn't know where I was in that. And I even had to say no to one of them because they were kind of overlapping, and I'm like, I can work 20 hours a day, but there's some people that sometimes you want to speak to. And I'm like, wow, in 4 months, I changed my financial reality. And I had set up a target how much I wanted to generate in 1 month. I think it was 40,000 Swedish kroners or 30, I don't remember. It was like an important, significant number that I'd never had. So, you know, I was like, I want to create this. And I knew Dane had said during his class that you can change anything. And it kind of resonated. You have to be willing to use the tools every day. I'm like, okay. And he gave me different tools, and I was like, if you use them, I'll guarantee you'll have a change within 6 months.
What tools?
I'll talk with him about that.